Welcome back to another episode of Kickflips and Kickstands podcast. I am one of your hosts, Danny, joined always to my left by the effervescent, the beautiful, the radiant
Grayson Connor.
You didn't know that you had to say your name there.
Oh, no. It's always a toss-up because sometimes you say it. You also always say effervescent. And I got to go Google that and make sure that's a positive thing.
It is.
I mean, it sounds
I promise you it is.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at it. You don't have to look it up.
I mean, now I especially want to.
No, don't worry about it. How have you been, buddy? I feel like it's been a little bit since we've been in the same room.
It has been.
Oh, no. I stopped by your job the other day.
That's right. Yeah. So like 2 days
that's
ago.
False.
But no.
Effervescence good, but that's false.
Okay. Good. Just super busy and super glad to be here.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you...
How have you been?
I've been great.
Good.
Yeah, just working. I got the next week off. Got a little
Love that.
PTO I got to use before the end of the year.
Sure.
So after today, the rest of the week I'm just doing... I mean, we're probably just working on the house and around the house, but I'm getting paid to do it. I'm not losing money. So
gotta love that.
That's fun. Mm-hmm. No, but I've been good. I'm trying to think. What else have you... I know you've been doing a lot of music stuff. Mm-hmm. That's kind of... It sounds like that's calming down or...
Yeah, hopefully a little bit. We've been recording an album and it's coming out in December.
Tight.
So
didn't know you were going to plug.
I don't
that
know
on
if
the
this
show,
will be out.
That's fine.
All right. I didn't know if this would be out by December.
Oh no, actually, yeah. So it's not really a plug.
Well, our album's out. Go check it out.
The plan was, for sure, listener, you should have been listening to this episode by now, but you're not. So
right.
It'll probably be 2024 that this comes out.
Fair enough.
But no, I've been good. Grayson's been good. Winding down on some music. Mm-hmm. And what's else? You're in school right now. What else you got going on?
Doing school, working a lot. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like you get into that like robot mode where you're just like work and then school and then make meals and then you got to clean your house and then it's like, well, now it's time for bed. So I guess I'm fucking doing that. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Well, yeah, you as a listener, you now know that we have moved the studio. We're down in Little Lockhart, Texas. We escaped the big city, and we actually have our first guest in this studio. Now that I think about it,
yeah.
And also, if you're tired of us talking to just dudes, then we finally made a switch over. So, I mean, without further ado, we've got Sara, and how do we say your last name?
Cottrell.
Sara Cottrell's in the studio.
Hey, y'all.
And I wanted to thank you for coming down to our little old Lockhart studio.
Yeah, thanks for
making
having
the drive.
me.
No, thanks for coming for sure. You guys don't know this as well, but we also did a whole other episode with Sara. But we were in the midst of trying this last season out, and we were kind of rusty. And she was like, hey, can we do a redo? And we were like, oh, we could totally do a redo because me and Grayson fucked that up big time.
Yeah.
So it took a little while, but here we are again. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
How have you been? We know how Grayson and I have been, but how are you lately?
I've been good. I mean, same, sounds like pretty similar to y'all, just busy.
Yeah.
Life has been lifing.
Yeah. So you were saying briefly, I know like background-wise, I wouldn't say above all else, but like the main gig is you're a hairdresser.
I am.
And you just got your own little studio spot, or
I
how
sure
long?
did.
How long? Tell us, how did you get into that whole game?
Like going out on my own.
Oh, well, both. Like, when did hairdressing come along, and then like. Tell us about, this is your first time branching out on your own? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Kind of walk us through that.
Always wanted to work for myself and have my own like little space.
Tight, of course.
And yeah, within this last year, I made it happen. I found this space off of East Riverside about a year ago when it was under construction, like new build. So I had to wait a little bit for it to be done. I think last time I talked to you guys, I couldn't talk about it because I was at my other job still.
Yeah.
But I was just waiting for it to be built, and I moved in around June, and it's just like
nice.
One little room. It's just me. Get
Nice.
to be one-on-one with my clients and have really good quality time with them.
That's
It's
awesome.
been really awesome. Yeah.
That's very
And are you like, is it walk-ins, appointment only? How does it work?
Appointment only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So again, people won't know because of the last episodes not coming out. So just to kind of go back through, we kind of have skated around similar circles. Because I know I don't think we ever met while we were living in Florida, but we both lived like in or around Orlando around the same time. Because I was like riding and hanging out with like Rytel and like a whole bunch of the Florida dudes, and you were like in those circles. And then we contacted you because you were in Austin while we were in Austin, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I know this person from Florida, from Orlando.
Yeah.
And now we're both just out here. So that's like kind of how this whole episode came to be, which is kind of rad. But so were you born in Orlando, or are you a Florida native, or?
I am not.
Okay.
I was born in Maryland, and I moved to Florida when I was 18.
Okay.
For love. Well, the whole reason anyone moves. Yeah. And of course that didn't work out.
That's why I moved to Texas 18. And also it didn't work out.
Oh no. Oh, but it's so good now though.
Yeah.
You guys got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So 18, of course that didn't work out. Stayed in Florida. I went to hair school in Florida at 18. And then I landed an apprenticeship at a really great salon there. And I was an apprentice for about 2 years. And then I ended up staying there for like 8 more years after that.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is next year will be 14 years doing hair.
Wow.
Damn.
I think that.
So kind of similar, like the move.
I didn't make myself older than I actually am.
No, we can edit
it's like,
that.
How many years is this? I don't know.
People don't know, but you can edit time in podcasts too.
I'm still 25.
The amount of years,
it'll be your voice, and it'll be like 17 days. That's tight. So originally from Maryland, and then you were saying moved to Florida for love, and it didn't work out, but it seemed like it kind of did work out because now you kind of found your passion, and you're doing that.
Absolutely.
And you got congrats on your own spot. That's
Thank you.
Freaking rad.
Cool. Thank you. That was really good.
Man, Gracie,
how has that been? Like, was it as smooth as a process as you had imagined it was gonna be? Really, like huge hurdles you had to get through.
The branching out on her own.
Yeah. Yeah, like opening your own spot.
Like, the paperwork was not great.
I
Obviously, the adults. I'm like, what was challenging about it? It's like all the adult stuff where it's like I don't get to be, choosing decor all day. Like I have to get licenses and do all of this stuff to branch out on my own. But I mean,
I guess if you to kind of go off of that, because the internet and people love lists. What are like the top 2 or 3 surprising things that you ran into when starting this that you like? You're saying like, oh, I thought I was just gonna like be designing a really rad space, but then I had to stop and figure out how to like become an LLC or whatever the case is. Like,
and figure out like what taxes I have to pay and like when and all that stuff. Get an accountant.
Okay.
Have someone that you can talk to.
Is it like for like get an accountant like off rip? Like if you're looking to branch out and be a business?
Maybe not necessarily, maybe not like right off the top, but if you feel like you don't know where to start, that's where, like for the business side of things, that's where I would start. Like have someone you trust that you can bounce ideas off of. I also had a mentor through like a hairdresser coaching program.
Oh, cool.
That led me through a lot of that. So I feel very lucky that I had that too. So a mentor, an accountant, someone that you can talk to about how to set it up right. And so you don't have headaches in the future. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
So going back to like Grayson, like besides that, what have you found that maybe you didn't expect that you'd be like fully into, but like it's like a pleasant surprise almost with doing this whole thing?
I feel like I've always loved my clients that I've gotten through the salons that I've worked at, but I really truly feel like my people are finding me now.
Sure.
And it's so cool to have these like very genuine connections with the humans that sit in my chair.
Yeah.
Like not that I didn't before, but it's like a different level because it's just me in there. Like from booking your appointment, if you have questions about where anything is, like social media, all of it is me. So it's cool to have like a totally different relationship with my clients than I ever have, which has been really rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I mean, I forget what I was watching the other day, but like, it's almost like similar to like a bartender where like people go to you and like, you're probably hearing people's problems that maybe you didn't sign up for, but also you're building that relationship. So they feel comfortable enough with just like spilling whatever they've got going on in their life.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't, my going to the barbershop years are over, but like that was the thing that like going to get a haircut or going to get a hair styling or even a cut and a style, it's like, you know that like that person, you pick your person and people keep going back to it. And you also get referrals that way where it's like, oh, I got this person that like kills it and super chill. And like, you don't feel like sometimes you go into these places and you're like stressed just because it's new or like your friend knows this person really well, but you don't. Right. So you're like, oh my God, they're going to hate me and like give me the worst haircut. But it's like, it's nice that you've built that, like you've built your own community around your craft.
Yeah. Do you ever have people come in and just like not talk?
Yeah, oh yeah. Really? I have a lot of clients that it's like they will.
Is that
will
more
consult.
Awkward? Sorry.
No, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
If you don't want to talk to me, that's your time.
Yeah.
Like I have clients who come in and they'll bring a book. So we'll do our consultation and we'll talk about what we're doing with their hair and all that. And then they'll just read or they'll answer work emails or like it's your time. Yeah. I want to find out what we're doing with your hair. And if you don't want to talk to me, that's totally fine.
Do you ever see like a work email or just an email that maybe you shouldn't have seen?
No, I try. I try and avert my. I'm like I'm in my zone. Yeah. You know, I'm doing my thing. But going back to like the first, you're talking about it being stressful when you first walk into a salon. Sometimes I always think of it as like a first date between me and my client. Me and their hair, right? Yeah. Like we're like finding out if we're a good match. Like if their hair likes certain things, like what their hair likes, what it doesn't. Like everybody's hair, I feel like has a personality. Sure. You know, everybody's got their little quirky hairlines and curls. And
if I could still grow it out, I have a mean cowlick. Well, I had a mean cowlick on the back of my dome. It was just like when I try and style my hair, I'd just be like, fuck
Get
this.
one of these little sticky up in the back like that.
I was like, I'm over it.
I have a fierce widow's peak.
Do you?
That is only becoming more of a widow's peak as these bad boys
but that's from you balding. It's not like Eddie Munster widow's peak where it's like
I don't like phrasing it like that, but yes.
A devil lock in the front.
Yeah.
Straight misfits.
Yeah.
That's right. We could style it that way. We could do it.
I'm at the point I'm not gonna have a choice. That's like my only option.
They're still doing like Doyle still has like a 7-foot devil lock with like the receding hairline that's like to the back of the head.
It's like 4 long wisps. Yeah.
Committed. I love it. Put some little extensions in there.
Oh sure, yeah.
Look out.
Little clip on at the
because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. We make a little swoopy over the one eye.
I love it.
I love that.
Well, shit. We didn't even like what. So at your salon and what do you have? Do you specialize in anything? Do you not? Is there things that you don't specialize? Like, let the people know. Let our 90-something% male audience know the women's cuts that you do. But you do. I've seen you do men's cuts too. Do you not do them anymore? Or
no, I do. So all my I specialize in like lived-in haircuts. Like it's like I want to see you no sooner than like 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Like I want your hair to grow in. I want you to live in it. I want it to just do its thing.
Sure.
What do I specialize in?
I don't know.
What the question was?
Yeah. Like what do you?
It's like what
or like what do you like to do? Like what's your go-to? You know what I mean?
I
like
do a lot of like razor cuts, like with straight razor.
Oh, okay.
So like that curly hair, wavy
bangs.
hair. Like I love bringing out your natural texture. Like I want it to be really easy for you to just wake up, like refresh with a little bit of water or maybe a little bit of product, do a little scrunch and you're done.
Tight.
Like super low maintenance. Like a lot of my clients describe themselves as lazy when it comes to their hair, but I like to reframe it and think of you as low maintenance. Like you just don't want to put a lot of time in. Yeah. Like you want it to look good, but without standing in front of the mirror for an hour and a half with hot tools and a blow dryer and all this stuff. Like I want to enhance what you naturally have going on. So it's really easy for you to style and like work with the way your hair wants to grow. And
yeah, that's
my jam.
I mean, there's like a whole, I forget the name of it, but like there's a whole like mantra or whatever, or like a way of life where it's like it's seen as lazy, but it's just more like maximizing efficiency where it's like, something as simple as like, do you wear boots every day? Like, don't wear lace-up boots. Wear like a clog or like a Chelsea style boot where you're not having to lace it all the time because you want to be like out of the door quicker. It's just little shit like that.
Just an indicator of your priorities, kind of.
It's like a life hack.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever have people be like, just surprise me? I don't care what you do. Do something.
Yes.
Really?
I do.
How do you feel about that?
It depends on what our if we have a past relationship or not.
Oh,
like,
okay.
because I still want to know, like, a lot of my haircuts are not only based on like texture and style, but like your lifestyle too. Sure. Like, I'm not gonna, if you say do whatever you want, I'm not gonna give you bangs if you're not gonna do anything with your bangs. Like, I would still, even if you're telling me do whatever you want to do, I still want to like know what your life looks like outside of this 2 hours that we're gonna spend together, or like outside of what your style is outside of this one outfit you have on today. Like, what do you do when you're not at work? What do you do for work? What do you want to do with your hair? Like, ideally, what's your dream hair?
Yeah. Yeah. And so what was it? This is where we turn back time. I already forgot what you said earlier with like year wise, but like how long have you been doing hair again?
Hold on. I got to remember how old I am.
We're getting there.
13 and a half years.
Okay.
Because I started when I was 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like done with school, working in a salon, 19. And then, So, 13
Was there
and a half,
ever,
that sounds right.
have you ever been in like shops or I guess salons? Cause like through tattoo friends, when they just get like a job at like a walk-in shop, have you ever been somewhere doing hair where like you just didn't want to be there? Like at that salon because of maybe the style or like the environment or anything like that?
Honestly, no.
That's awesome.
I got
That's
really
cool.
lucky. The salon, shout out Alchemy Orlando.
Okay.
I love you guys.
Okay.
That's where I did my apprenticeship.
Nice.
And I researched a lot of salons before I applied there. And they asked me, they were like, in the interview, they said, how many other salons have you applied and interviewed at? And I said, a few. And it had been none because I knew that's where I wanted to work. I was like, this is the one, like, they were so cool and like punk rock and curly hair and like really the artistic side of hairdressing. It was less like in and out.
Yeah.
You know, like their clientele seemed really cool. All their stylists seemed really cool. And then I researched a lot about the salon that I worked at here before I moved to. And it was the same thing. It was like a lot of like stylish, artistic people who seemed to really care about their craft. And,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
I
that's
feel
always
lucky
the
to
best
have been there.
environment to go into.
Yeah.
Like you want to be somewhere they're passionate about what they're doing and they're not just doing it to like.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously we're doing the things that we do professionally to keep the lights on, but if you can find a place where you can enjoy it, like
I go to a chain place. I'm somewhat ashamed to say, but
No,
like,
that's okay.
I was gonna say, is there like any like reputation or like what's the word on the street on the chain places? Like I don't want to name any places, but like Floyd's and Birds and stuff like that.
we have, I don't know how mutual, but like there's a whole scene of barbershops in Orlando that were getting shafted by Floyd's. Like there was like a few years in a row where Floyd's would win like best barbershop in Orlando, and like the two big local barbershops were just like, the fuck, dude? Like it's a chain that's like in other states.
Because I haven't had any exceptionally bad experiences at those. Maybe just slightly inconsistent, maybe. But I am one of the people that's like, I'm mostly a hat guy. So I don't really think about my hair too much. So I'm just like, when it gets to a certain point, just give me a little chop and I'm fine. But is it like in the like hair community? Is it like you don't want to work for one of those places kind of thing?
I don't think so at all. I think they're a great, like a lot of those places offer benefits, like health insurance and retirement and a lot of things that smaller salons, like the little local guys, can't offer a lot of the time. So I got no ill will towards those guys at all.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a great place to start if you're out of school and like build your clientele. I think from a client standpoint, you just have to find your person there.
Right.
Like, and get their info. So if they go because I feel like a lot of those places have like a higher turnover. It's like once you find your person, you want to stay with your person.
Sure. Okay. That's good to know. That makes me feel better about going there.
I don't know how it works on that, but it sounds like kind of the difference. I've worked in mostly like independent motorcycle shops and one dealership, and it was like the independence was more tight-knit community. You made a little more money, but you didn't have benefits. Whereas like the big corporate like dealership or like gear company, it's like you make less money, but they're like, hey, if you're full-time, like here's your benefits package. It's not much, but it's something. And then it's also like, oh, corporate says we have to do this way. And you're like, why we got to do it that way? We could do it a little differently. We're like, yeah, but this is a corporate job. This is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So there's those ins and outs for sure. But I mean, it sounds like you. It's not luck because you did the research through. Because some people could say like, oh, through luck, but it's like no, like you went to school to do this thing. You researched what you wanted to do, did it. You researched where you wanted to do it, did it, and carved out your own little path in your craft, and that's really fucking rad. Like,
Thank you.
That's
like
amazing.
some people, and not to like talk down, like some people they'll go to hair school and the first job out of hair school is like a Supercuts or like a chain corporate salon. So it's super rad that you were able to like literally make your own path in that industry.
Thanks.
Yeah,
It's
that's very cool.
There's a lot that goes into hairdressing that I feel like a lot of people like you invest emotionally a lot more in it, I feel like, than people realize. It's a very physically demanding job.
Yeah.
So, I got no shade to anyone who didn't finish school or anything like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
being like, I was thinking,
But
the
so
day, like-
rewarding.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Even like I feel like the people that need to get massages the most are massage therapists because like they're constantly in that one position bent over, like their back's at like a 45-degree angle for like I don't know, like
30 minutes to an hour multiple times a day.
that's what I'm saying, like 6 to 8 hours a day, and it's like
Yeah.
damn, like I never even thought of this part of that job. It's like
Sure.
a lot of people will just see like they see one thing that you're doing and they're like, oh, you're just standing all day. And it's like
That sucks.
yeah, like I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how well your body works right now, but some people don't stand all day very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Like it
totally.
sucks.
Yeah, I got after so we were closed for like 2 months during peak pandemic,
Okay.
right? And then I came back and I was like worked for a couple of days and I could not believe how bad my body hurt.
Oh,
like I
yeah.
had just been so used to it for so many, like it's all I've known.
Yeah,
And we went back and I was like, "Oh my god, is this just how I was living
Yeah.
for 10 years? Like this is insane."
yeah.
Damn.
That happened to
Yeah.
me at a shop that I worked at once. I was like forever just in vans, and I got this job at this like small local motorcycle shop in South Florida, and it was just like a garage floor, and I'm just like standing in vans all day, and I would get home and my back would hurt, and like my girlfriend at the time would be like, "Let's go out." I'm like, I am not going anywhere. And then I got my first pair of like good boots for standing on concrete all day, and I get home just like with more energy. I was like,
Yes.
oh, I can
it's
actually
real.
do something. Yeah, it was insane. Like just getting the right footwear, what it did for me. So yeah, like much respect to like almost anyone that's doing some kind of trade or craft is sacrificing one part of their body.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
because it's physical. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't like when we paint, and I painted for a couple like projects and stuff before. There's like certain brushes that you have to hold a certain way, or even like if you do any kind of pinstriping, like my hands start to cramp. So I can't imagine like holding scissors and straight razors and a comb a very specific way, because it's like you look at the tool and you're like, oh, that's like as heavy as a lighter, and it's like, yeah, but I have to hold it upside down, spread open
Yeah, you
for
gotta-
like 8 hours a day.
Yep.
And it's like the human body was just not like that. We weren't thinking that when like
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stretching, a lot of like
yeah.
strengthening, a lot of things you can do to keep your dexterity for
Yeah.
sure. Keep that carpal tunnel at bay.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, well, carpal tunnel is a very real thing. And like
yeah.
when your job is very much your hands, it's like,
And all your hobbies.
yeah.
That's what gets me.
That's the thing that I was going to get into. What a beautiful segue. I'm sure
welcome.
as a listener, you're like, again, the 97% male audience that we have is like, why are you talking to this chick about cutting hair? It's like, so you've been cutting hair for, I think we said 13 years. How long have you been on a bike? Because little do people know, or maybe they do know because they should. I feel like they should know about you by now. When did motorcycles come about? Was it around the same time or?
It was mid-20s.
Okay.
Mid-20s. I had never been around motorcycles before, didn't grow up with them. Nobody in my family rides. And I started dating a guy that had a Harley
Okay.
in Orlando. And we were riding around and I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing ever. Like these people were like, every Sunday we're out with all our friends. We're like outside. We're going on new adventures. I was like, this is the greatest. This has to be a part of my life forever.
Yeah.
Like this is this is who I want to be.
Yeah. Why would you walk away from something like that sense of community?
Yeah. It was so special. And I remember the first time I like met all these girls off of bikes. Like we were at a house party or something. And then a few weeks later, they all met up to ride and they all showed up on their own bikes. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I want to be like them. That's fucking cool.
I don't want to be on the back anymore.
Yeah.
I want to have my own shit.
Like, I don't need, like, see you later, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm cruising Craigslist. I'm getting my own Sportster.
Hell yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So that was mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think you still have a Harley.
Yep,
but,
same Sportster.
Okay.
I was during my apprenticeship at that salon I was talking about. So I was like minimum wage plus tips.
Okay.
Right. So I saved up all of my tips until I had enough money to buy a bike outright off of Craigslist.
Nice.
So that bike is very special to me.
Yeah.
I worked very hard for that bike.
We're unashamedly and unabashedly Evo Sportster fans on this podcast. Everyone makes fun of them. We make fun of them too, but it's a good bike.
They're so fun.
It always runs.
Yep.
You can build it into whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can still, to this day, get them for dirt cheap. Like, I don't know. Like, to anyone listening, if you don't have a bike and you want to get into not just choppers, but just like bikes in general, get an Evo Sportster. Like, you'll get it for cheap. You'll be able to, like we said, build it into whatever you want. There's a ton of aftermarket support. Like, there's all these huge companies that are making bolt-on parts for them. Like, it's really hard to not, like, same thing. Like, the one that I have was the first one that I got hit by a car on it and just put the motor into, like, a rigid frame. But, like, I just won't get rid of it because it always runs. It's just there. It's something that, and if I sold it because they're always dirt cheap, like, I mean, I've seen some people put some price tags on them. I saw a couple weeks ago someone like selling an Evo Sportster chopper and the asking price was $15,000. And I was just like, well, I think it's time to sell mine if that's what we could sell them for.
Yeah, was it made of gold?
Yeah, no, it was just a regular hardtail Evo Sportster. And I was like, okay, like 6, 7 tops because of the work that you put into it. But
well, you know, if you're they always say if you're having a hard time parting with something, put a price tag on it that won't make it sad. It won't make you sad when it leaves.
That's a really good, yeah.
Maybe they were very emotionally invested in
maybe
solid gold Sportster.
Yeah. So you still have that Sportster, but you're doing a lot of like motocross now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like off-road woods racing.
Okay.
I don't know. I was asking my fiance Ryan the other day. I was like, "What do you classify what we do as?" Because I'm still very new to the world, and I'm like, "Is it enduro? Like, what makes it a hare scramble?" But we do a lot of trail riding and motocross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tight. Yeah, because motocross is on like a circuit track.
Yeah, that's
right?
like the jumping.
Sure.
And, you know.
And there's like laps involved. Like I'm very not well knowledge in that myself, but yeah, it's like there's jumps and it's like an actual circuit track, whereas like trail riding, it's like you start here and then you end somewhere else.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on. There's laps in the woods racing that we do. It's called Torques. It's Texas Off-Road Championship Racing. They're all amazing. It's like a little family.
Tight.
They're so great. But you do laps there too. It's just laps in the woods. Like they go out and cut a course, and then you go through and do as many as you can within a certain amount of time.
Okay. That's rad.
Yeah.
How did you make the jump from like riding like on the road, like road bikes essentially, to starting in trails and getting on dirt bikes?
So I'd been riding Harleys, I think maybe 4 or 5 years. And then again, I had a girlfriend who she had ridden dirt bikes when she was growing up, and she decided she wanted to get back into it. And I saw her doing it and I was like, oh my God, I love being active and like doing sports, and I could be on a motorcycle. Like I'm in.
Yeah.
So I got a KLX 140 was my first dirt bike.
Okay.
And I could not do shit on it. Like I was like riding around in circles in someone's yard. Like I made a little dirt hump. Oh my God, I got an inch off the ground. This is the fucking coolest thing ever. Like no idea what I'm doing. No gear, no helmet. Like so dumb. And then from there, it just started progressing. Like I started meeting more people. Like she took me to a track for the first time. And I just kept getting introduced to more and more people. And then actually, I still had that bike when I met my now fiance. And he he had been starting to get into dirt bikes as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've kind of fed off of each other the last few years, where it's like
that's got you like picked up a hobby
race?
together.
I'll go race.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of into it separately, but he may tell a different story. But I think that I think we've done a good job of like supporting each other, getting into the dirt bike scene.
I saw you guys had that little camper too, right? You sold that?
We did our little vintage camper. We upgraded.
I think it was rad.
It was rad. It was.
But
it was needed. We needed to upgrade.
Oh,
he got us a very nice one. It's exactly what we needed. Nice. Good job, Ryan. Thank you.
Shout out to Ryan. He's also selling a bike.
Doll.
Oh, it might be sold by the time you hear this, actually. But I've told him before, but that's like my favorite chopper. Like I really like. It's more of like a muscle bike, tough guy chopper. It's like mine is like the tiny version of like what they're, because it's like it's a bigger motor. I'm talking to Grayson now, listener, because we know Grace.
I don't know nothing.
Sure. But no, it's one of the cleanest, best looking builds in that style that I've ever seen. So big shout out to Ryan. Like it's currently for sale. And if it's still for sale by the time this comes out, you should buy it. Whoever's listening.
Yeah.
It's a great bike.
So you guys got a little upgraded camp. What do you have now for Camptown?
We got, I believe it's 19-foot toy hauler.
Oh, you got a toy? You need a toy hauler because how many bikes do you guys have? We were talking about this earlier. Well, how many bikes do you travel with? I guess that's it's the same number.
Somehow more.
Listen, when we go to Daytona, so our anniversary is we met at Daytona Beach Bike Week. We met at Daytona Supercross.
Shout out to Daytona.
First date. We love the Dirtona. But whenever we go, the week leading up to it is a lot of like, well, how many bikes are you bringing? Well, can I bring that many?
Yeah.
Like if we could bring the entire garage, we would.
Sure. But now you got a toy hauler, so you have a mobile garage. So that's rad.
And we are trying to figure out how many bikes we can stuff in there and put in the van or the truck. How many bikes do we have? I have 3. I have my Sportster, a 97. I have a 2016 250 XSF, a KTM. That's my track bike.
Okay.
And then for trails, I have, I think it's a 2022 Husqvarna, a 150.
Oh, nice.
TI.
How's that? I heard those things are fun.
I should know this. It's, oh my God, I love that trail bike.
Yeah.
I feel like it really, like I was trying to ride that track bike in the woods and it was doable.
Yeah.
But being so new, it was hard. Like, cause the suspension is a lot stiffer and it was a lot of bike to pick up off of myself when I would fall.
Yep.
And the Husky has been, it's a 2-stroke, so it's lighter, it's more nimble. It's like, the first time I got on it, I was like, oh my God, I do know how to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can turn around a tree. This is cool. It's just like so much more responsive.
Yeah. Well, and it's 2-stroke. Like, they're so fun. I have a huge soft spot in my heart for 2-strokes. And and so you've got 3. How many does he have?
2 Harleys. Let's see. He's got the Chopper, the Dyna, and then he just picked up a 125, 2023 KTM 125.
Okay.
And then he's got a Husky 350 for the track. And then he has got another 2-stroke, a Husky 300.
Okay.
I think that one's the I keep getting the TEs and the TIs mixed up, but both of our Huskies are fuel injected, so we don't have to mix. Like there's another little above where the gas goes. There's another little place to put the oil, and it mixes it for you.
Nice. That's amazing.
I feel very spoiled.
Oh yeah, but hey, you know what? They figured it out, so why not use it?
Yeah.
Like, so that's 5. What was that? 8 bikes?
Yes,
total?
and then 2 pit bikes.
Oh.
2 110s.
Well, pit bikes don't count. Yeah.
That's like a half a bike.
Pit bikes don't count. Those
They're the most fun.
You can always put that in the back of a truck.
Yes.
So like you can put it in the back seat if you need to. Like So 8.
Could.
That's not bad.
So wait a second. If you're mixing oil and gas, are you carrying just like a bunch of oil around with you when you're riding? Is that how that works, or am I being dumb?
No,
you mix it in a separate canister. Like if you need to mix your oil and gas, you measure it and you mix it into a container and then you put it all in.
I see. But like if you're fueling up on the road, where are you getting your oil from?
Yes, they do. Like they sell 2-stroke oil.
I see. So you just mount
separately
it on the bike? Or
no. You don't. You just like you pre-mix it and then if you're riding trails or whatever, it's at like, you've got like, maybe not a base camp, but like your truck or whatever. Okay. It's just there.
Yeah, you can like have it pre-mixed already.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then just...
Because I was imagining you riding, holding like an oil canister and then getting somewhere and then be like, I gotta put some oil in, now I gotta put some gas in.
That's before. Like, I see. When you're early 1900s, like Harleys and Indians, and like, there was an oil reservoir. And some of them you had to like pump the oil reservoir before you started the bike.
Okay, I see.
But we've moved past that. Now, the bike does it for you.
Yeah, it's very fancy. I feel very bougie out there.
No, that's awesome. So you guys so Daytona is your anniversary. So that's a rad like anniversary trip to go to Daytona every year.
Every year, yep. And every year we've been adding more, as we're getting more into racing, every year we're adding more racing to our bike week adventure.
Oh, okay.
Like the first couple years we would do Supercross the first weekend and spend most of the weekend like Daytona, like east side of Florida. And then they started doing Red Bull Day in the Dirt, like the one they do in California at Glen Helen. They do it in Tampa at Dade City Motocross.
Oh shit, that's in Tampa. Okay.
So we started. That's on the weekend after Supercross. So we started bringing a couple bikes to do that.
Nice.
And then last year Ryan actually raced a GNCC race that Sunday after Supercross.
Wow.
Super gnarly, the Wild Boar one.
Okay.
It's his race was 2 hours, just sand.
Oh.
Sandy whoops.
Damn.
Wow.
It was gnarly. He did such a good job. And then we started adding in also, they do amateur Supercross after regular Supercross. And then after amateur Supercross, they do vintage days on that Tuesday. So they it's the same dirt that all the pros ride on, but they dumb the jumps way down. So we both started racing that Tuesday as well at the vintage days.
Damn. So you guys are all over the place that week. That's awesome though. So you're a full week out there, like both weekends basically?
It usually ends up being about 10 days.
Okay.
Because obviously we're driving. We've got the whole garage.
Yeah, the whole garage, the dogs,
Well, there's so many different styles, and then we're like, we don't want to be at Bike Week with no Harley.
Yeah,
so if he's bringing his Harley, then I'm like, well, I want my Harley.
Yeah,
I want my own bike.
That's like what you were saying.
I want my own thing.
You got into them, and then you figured out you could be on your own. You're like, well,
Right.
no, I'm not going to be on the back of your shit.
Yeah, bring mine, or let me ride yours, and you sit on the back.
Yeah.
How about that?
Does he do that?
He's ridden on the back of my Sporty. Yeah.
I would do that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Once
I've
Heather
taken him
learns
home from the bar before.
Yeah, I keep telling Heather, I'm like, you should ride the Harley. She's like, it's technically lighter than a stock Sportster, so, and it's lower, so it's easier to learn on. She's just like, it's the biggest bike she's ever been on. Like she goes to push it out of the garage, like it's so heavy. I'm like, it's not. Once you get used to it, but it is like someone who doesn't ride picking any Harley off of the kickstand. You're like, okay, it's just like the heaviest fucking thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I move his Dyna, I feel like the kickstand is so far from the thing I'm tipping, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess if I fall on the floor, he'll find me eventually. Like this thing has to make contact with the ground somehow, whether it's bike or kickstand. It's gonna be on the ground.
So you said you had a friend, because we have another mutual kind of friend through Mallory. Is that who you got into like off-road racing through, or like? How did you meet Mallory? Was it just moving into town and like being into the same scene, or?
Mallory and I were actually internet friends.
Oh, okay.
When I lived in Florida, and then I went out to the One Show in Portland.
Yeah. Okay.
And we met there. We met up there in real life and like hung out a little bit. And I was like, oh my god, this girl's so cool.
That's awesome.
I want to be her friend.
Yeah, because when I moved to Austin, I worked roughly for the same company that Alan worked for.
Nice.
So I met all of them through our buddy who's been on the show a good amount of times, Josh. And that's how I got introduced to like the whole motorcycle bike scene out in Austin. But they're all amazing people. Like just the most, like Alan's like the smartest dude as far as like can build anything. And Mallory's like just the coolest. Again, super talented. Josh, again, like not a bad group of people to just happen to like get to know.
Yeah. I feel very lucky with all my moto relationships here. Like,
it's kind of like with the
like
hair thing.
Family, it's great.
You did some research and you found like where you wanted to be in all of these hobbies and crafts, and that's awesome. You have like extended families, if you will, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I don't ride, but one of the more appealing things to me is like, it seems like a cool community to be a part of. So
yeah,
might want to get my little training wheels out.
Yeah.
Toot around.
Some of our San Antonio buds, just the same weekend of Born Free Texas, they went, and I think what they're calling it now is the gas can run. They rode out to West Texas and back that weekend. And it looked fucking rad. I was just like, I think I know what I'm doing next year around Born Free Texas weekend.
Oh,
Maybe,
no Born Free for you?
I don't know, man. It's...
People need to know.
I was gonna say they might not let you in at this point. You've really
okay.
You're blacklisted from Born Free.
No, if anyone listening takes any of the memes that the page posts that seriously, then you are the meme. That's just kind of the overall theme is to not take ourselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Also, the ticket prices were high. Sure, there was a lot of entertainment. I'm not going to sit here and talk like I know the first thing about putting an event together / getting a shit ton of bands to be there / getting like liquor reps and security. Like, I'm sure they have their reasons for making it what it is. Just like I wanted to go vend there and I saw like general admission prices and I was like, well, vending prices is going to be way more than general admission. So maybe we just ride to West Texas with a group of buds and make content about that instead. I don't know. It's no shade to them. It's just what it is. It was a really funny, and that was actually the first meme that I posted, blew the fuck up. So, I mean, a lot of people were thinking it.
Yeah. People feel strongly about Born Free.
Yeah. And it was I'll never forget it. It was that Idris Elba, like hot ones where he's like bites into a super spicy wing and he's just like, what the fuck?
You're also a graphic designer, right?
I was going to say that too, Grayson.
Is that the term you prefer?
Illustrator, I
Illustrator.
guess. I don't know.
Artist.
Yes, artist. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time putting a label on it because I don't really know where it's going or what I'm doing with it.
Sure.
In this process of opening my studio, I feel like a lot of my energy has been directed towards that. There hasn't been a lot of time unfortunately, for my art, but...
Sure.
Well, yeah, normally creative types are super talented, but not great at like channeling it into multiple different, like you only have enough capacity to like
you do one thing at a time.
Yeah. It's like, because if not, like the other thing suffers where it's just like, well, if I'm super into creating art for people or doing... I think so. Let's back up. How did that start? Like, have you always been painting or okay?
Yeah.
And
I wanted to, I actually wanted to go to art school before hair. So hair, I had been like always doing my own hair in my basement. There was, punk rock kid, always mohawked and purpled and been a manic panic down there. So I've always like loved hair. It was always like a great way to express myself, but I never thought of it as like my career necessarily.
Sure.
I wanted to go to a big art school in Maryland. And then when I realized it meant 4 more years of doing what other people wanted me to do, I was like, maybe we wait on that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely always been with me, and it's been very cool to rediscover that in the last few years and have people like respond so awesomely to it. It's felt really awesome.
I love your shit, like the art that you do. And
thank you.
So when you first started, what was like your medium? Like, what were you using? Was it like pastels, watercolor? Like, what were you doing as
like
far
when
as?
I just now like started getting back into it, or like
always? Yeah, always. Or what's your favorite thing?
I love watercolor.
Okay.
I'm very inspired by like traditional tattoos.
Yeah.
Like that bold but simple. Watercolor. I always love. I'm trying to get into more digital art.
Okay.
Sure.
It's tricky to make that feel like authentic to
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
it's hard for me to bridge that gap of like.
What are you using for like digital art? Like what do you?
I've been messing around on Procreate, and I probably use like 1% of its capacity.
Dude,
you know
I
what
watch.
I mean? Like it's
same.
the stuff people make on there is incredible.
crazy.
I go down like
Incredible.
Procreate YouTube rabbit holes, and I'm like, wait, this can't be the same program.
Yeah.
And it is.
It's
Just like,
crazy.
then if you and they're so well seasoned with it, but they're like, it's so funny when you try and watch like a how to, and they're like, this is 10 simple steps, and then you just go through it in like 7 minutes, and you're like, wait a minute, these steps don't seem as simple as you make it.
Like, those for sure 10, but none of them were simple. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can do this. I got this. And I open mine up and I'm like, this is not even the same.
Well, and I have like no artistic ability, but I also would imagine that like you have this, maybe not wall, but like going from like, if you're painting with watercolor one day and then the next day you're like, oh, I got to do some digital art, and then you switch over from like a brush with paint on it to like a tablet with a stylus.
Yeah.
I know that there's like gesture controls, and like the harder you press on the stylus, it bleeds out more, but it's like you have all this muscle memory, which is probably very attuned to like doing hair or riding a bike. Like you have this like clutch control or scissor control muscle memory. Then now it's like fully digital. So you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel the same. It's looks kind of the same if you can figure it out, but there's no way that you can get it to feel the same. Yeah. So that's like a hurdle. That's more what it is. It's like
the amount of times I have tried to zoom in on my sketchbook. It is in. And I'm like, I'm doing the thing with the two fingers, and I'm like, oh my God, you're not on your iPad.
Yeah, it's a piece of paper.
It's a piece of paper. You're holding a pencil.
You're like tapping with two fingers or three fingers, copy. And you're like, wait a minute.
Copy. Why is it not? Oh, it's because it's paper.
And you like fuck it up, and you're like, I'll just erase. Oh, no.
Nope.
I need a new piece of paper.
Help me make this circle perfect. Nope, that was in pen. That's fine.
That's pretty funny.
Yep.
So you've done that. You have you've done art that's on display as well, right? Yeah. Tell us kind of about that too.
I've gotten to Savannah with Maiden Moto asked me to create a painting last year she did a showcase of all female artists.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was super lucky to be included in that. And then she took that same piece around this year a little bit too.
Oh, so it's like a traveling art show.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I had she had asked me to, I feel a little bit guilty because she had asked me to make another painting for this year. And I started it and got halfway through, and then my studio started going, and that imposter syndrome in both of my endeavors. It's like,
that shit's crazy.
Dude.
People like, it's made up, right? Like, sure. We've made up words, we've made up numbers. Like, none of this shit is real, whatever. But like that imposter syndrome, when it gets and it sinks its teeth into you, it's like, it's fucking hard to shake.
Yep.
So
I've been going through a lot of that with my like with opening a studio. Like, who the fuck do I think I am? I open my own hair business, and then it bleeds over into art too. It's like that little voice. Trying to not listen to that little voice that's like, no one's going to want to see this.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to take that leap. Yeah.
Yep.
Someone's got to do it, That's always my philosophy. And whoever is actively doing it probably also feels that way.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Shit. I tripped up on myself there. Sorry.
This is why we edit, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We probably won't. We say that a lot. We won't edit this out. What's the point? We were just talking about it. I listened
You're breaking the fourth wall right now.
Well, no, because like it was
just kind of tripping me out.
There's that whole imposter syndrome / like when we first started this shit, I was super obsessive with the edits and like that's
almost too much. Yeah.
Right. But then I started listening to I don't listen to a lot of other podcasts. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But then when I finally did, because I drive for work now, I'll listen to like Conan O'Brien's podcast.
Yeah.
And they don't edit shit out. And I'm like, this dude's huge. This is the most professional level of a podcast, and they're not doing it. So why are we, Grayson?
That's true.
Answer me that.
I mean,
right now, answer it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we edit this out?
No. So I mean, we'll probably edit some of this out.
Yeah. I know.
It's your art, though.
Yeah.
You got to make it true to you.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
It's in its raw,
that battle
purest
with
form.
Perfectionism too is something that I feel so hard with my art specifically.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's not good enough. Like this, I'm gonna, it's gonna be on display with all these other amazing artists. Like this isn't good enough, and then it's, I'll work on it later, and then still it's not gonna be good enough.
It's funny you were bringing up how she asked you to do another piece, and like life just got in the way. We had another episode with Brandon. He's an artist as well, and he does a lot of graphic design. And he's in Orlando too. He's worked with a lot of companies, and he was the first dude that I was like, hey, can you design like a sticker for us that we can like maybe use that same image for a shirt? Because it's like if I'm gonna approach like a graphic designer for an image for the podcast, I want to at least be able to like multi-use it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, because I have to pay that person for their time, for their craft, for their art. So on my end, I want to be able to use that as much as possible. And he was like, I can't. He's like, no, I can't. I'm like, okay. And I didn't take any offense to it. But then later on, we did the episode with him, and he was talking about, it wasn't so much imposter syndrome, but he was getting into like, you got to learn how to say no. Yeah. Because you'll just overwork yourself, especially with friends. It's like you want to please all your friends all the time.
I feel that so hard.
But you have to be able to tell them no without offending them too. Like you don't want them to be like, what the fuck? Like I thought we were cool.
Yeah. You have to divide up your 100% in a smart way.
Yeah.
And if you're just doing
make sure it's still just 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because you only have 100%.
Which is hard when you want to do everything.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like all my friends have such cool project ideas, and like I feel so lucky to be, to have a piece that went with Maiden Moto art show and stuff. And
that's super rad.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. And then of course I want to do all the things.
Yeah.
It's hard to edit it down.
And you were making like stickers too and flyers for people. And so just with starting your own thing now, all of that is kind of, you're saying you're starting it back up, or you're starting to like dabble with like creating again?
I would like to. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I keep getting excited and talking.
No. That's great. We talked. Grayson brought that up. Like we've had people that like don't say anything. So
I feel like at first when I kind of started feeling that like creative block happening, I was frustrated and mad at myself because I was like, this is something I love to do, and I've told all these people I want to do things for them. Like now putting pressure on myself. Like I have to do all this stuff. And now looking back, I'm realizing there is a very strong chance that I may have burnt myself out by saying yes to so many things and like not knowing how to properly ask for compensation for my time because I want to like hook all my friends up with art. And I'm like, this is my side hustle. But now I'm kind of realizing like, oh, did I maybe shoot myself in the foot a little bit? Like I maybe kind of, I don't want to say ruined it for myself, but I need to reevaluate the relationship I have with my quote unquote side hustle.
Yeah.
And make sure that I'm like, I don't want to say not like taking care of myself too, but like you guys will have to edit this part out because I can't think.
We're not gonna. We just had the whole conversation about not doing that.
Just finding that balance. I don't want to say balance either, because then like really, what is balance? Are you ever actually balanced?
Sure. Yeah.
Like I need a healthier way, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
To go about, because I want it to be part of my life, and I want to make things for all the people that I've said.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I would love to work with you in the future. Like, there was a lot of, I'll let you know when I'm available. And it kind of became like, oh my God, I have all these people waiting. Like,
yeah, I have to let them know. I told them I would.
Like put so much pressure on myself that I feel like I took like the joy that I was getting out of it. Like it wasn't painting for me anymore. It was painting under like a deadline, under pressure. That was me putting pressure on myself. Like I'm sure if I had reached out to these people and been like, hey,
I got a lot going on right now. Yeah.
But of course, I want to do everything. I don't want to have to sleep. I want to race motorcycles and have my own hair salon and an art business and a apparel sticker.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's why, I mean, you're building it now, you know, you get to the point where you can one day hire some people and then they help you out along your way.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Well, and to that, like reaching out, I will say, even just today when you were like, I'm so sorry, like I'm running behind, when it was like 10 or 15 minutes, people don't communicate. I don't know if you know this, but like dudes that ride skateboards and choppers aren't the best at communicating. No. So as far as guests go, like that's huge for you to just like be able to like reach out to people. Like that was awesome. Like, yeah,
I feel like that's just my job.
Sure.
Talking, and right? Like if my clients are running late, I'm like, just let me, like, usually we can work around it. Just let me know.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, as far as the whole imposter syndrome and like prioritizing your endeavors that you want to get in, I got to say, you're doing pretty good. Because most people, like, most people are a lot of talk. They're like, one day I want to do that. And it's always this prospect out, this like ambiguous thing in the future. But you've really actioned a lot of things. It's very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
You were saying too earlier with the art thing where it's like you don't want it to seem like you're taking care of yourself, but you also have to like people. There's like this one meme where it's like, how do you make friends? And like it's someone looking at an image of like a car lift and tools. Yeah. Where it's like mechanics, like when I'm not a mechanic anymore. And this is one of the reasons where it's like people are like, oh, just come over and you can work on my shit while we hang out. I'm like, that sounds like I'm working while you're hanging out. And I'm not, and we're friends, but like I'm not getting paid for this. Like, but it's a friend. So you don't want to be like, hey man, you're going to have to pay me for my time. You don't want to say that, but it's like, there's this like unspoken rule of like, I'm doing this. I've developed these skills. I've gotten these tools that makes me efficient at this. Yeah. So I would like to be compensated to do this for you. I don't want you to think that it's me as your friend trying to pull one over on you. I need you to know that it's me as your friend doing this for you while also using the money that you're going to give me to keep my lights on, to probably buy us dinner after this. I don't know. Like there's like this really weird thing when it comes to like friendships where it's like your friend with like an artist or a mechanic or anything that like some kind of craft or maker. And then some people are just like, oh, they'll do that for me. And it's like, don't expect that. Just know.
I was going to say, I think a good rule of thumb is unless someone's like, I will do this for you for free, just go ahead and assume that you should pay them. You know what I mean? Unless it's like clearly stated.
Well, there's that whole thing of like, good, cheap, and fast. If you want it good and cheap, you're not going to get it fast.
Yes.
If you want it good and cheap, or if you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be good.
Right.
There's like all these things, but like, yeah, whenever you're friends with someone who does things like this, some people will just. I don't think that people are taking advantage of you. It's just like kind of expected as like a friendship.
It's like a weird social.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
who brings it up? Yeah.
Part of what you said about assuming that you're going to pay for things, like pay your friend for their time. To me, that resonates as like, I need to know that people want to pay me for my time.
Yeah.
Like the other end of that.
Exactly.
That's what I struggle with.
You don't know how to ask people for your time.
Exactly. I want to support, all my friends' businesses. Like, please take my money. But then when it comes back to me, I'm like, no, I'll do it.
How do I ask them for money?
I'm like, Sarah, don't do it for free. Don't do it for free.
Yeah.
Like, God.
Now that's why
so hard.
If I have to, and I kind of operated this way too until I became a mechanic and saw how that worked. So now when I contact a friend for something, I'm be like, hey, I want you to do this. I am going to pay you. I just make that like, put that on the front end of the conversation. I'm just like, I'm going to pay you. I've already budgeted and I've looked around to see how much kind of this service is. So don't give me a homie rate. Richard, who we did an episode with over at Milestone Motorcycles in North Austin, shout out Milestone, always forcibly tries to give me the homie rate because he's got like all the parts catalogs. And I was like, hey, he got me my clutch for my bike when I rebuilt the transmission. And I was like, charge me what the book tells you to charge me. Yeah. And then he didn't. So I just like forcibly Venmo'd him the rest. So I was like, you're not fucking doing this, man. Yeah. And he was like, I think you sent me too much. I'm going to send it back. I'm like, Richard, don't send it back. Just keep it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like,
I mean, I don't really have a discernible skill that I pedal to people, but I feel like if someone was like,
you're a musician.
Yeah.
You pedal your music on people if they want it or not.
Music's all free.
If they want it or not. Stop.
Oh, force it down your ears. But yeah, I feel like I would just, I don't even know. The best route is to be like, oh yeah, I can do that. My rate is blank. I would love to hook you up, but times is tough.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Inflation.
And if someone takes issue with that, kind of fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, we're homies. You should hook me up. It's like, we're homies. I can hook you up, but if I am struggling to keep the lights on, I gotta charge you, buddy. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know,
there's other like homie hookups are earned, not given.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Yes, we're homies, but like,
it should never be expected.
Help me out right now. I mean? If Sarah gets to the point where her salon is 7 people and she doesn't even have to cut hair anymore and she can travel and ride motorcycles and do art, then that's when,
the dream.
Yeah. That's when homie hookups might become more given out. But yeah,
I love a trade.
Trades are tight.
I like a trade.
Classic bartering. Yeah.
talking about if someone can't afford the service that you're offering, like what you were saying, Grayson. I feel like since making this move, I have raised my prices, and it's brought that conversation up several times with my clients. And I feel like I'm getting better at having the conversation of like, I totally understand. Like, I feel you. I understand if I'm not in your budget, but here's a list of people that I would totally trust and recommend. Like,
right. Yeah.
You don't have to be for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's been something I'm getting comfortable with too.
And it's a sign
like
of
not being like, oh, well, I'll do it at a discount, or do it like in a shorter amount of time so it's cheaper. Like that doesn't align with who I am as a stylist anymore. Or as an artist.
Yeah, you're growing and you should be compensated accordingly.
I want my clients to have the best possible work. Like it's not fair to either of us if I'm like, well, I can do it in 30 minutes and make it cheaper. It's like you're not going to get my best work though. You're not going to be getting the experience that you deserve, you know?
Would you say, have you ever had to, for hair or even like art, someone approach you and they want something that like either, not so much that you're not good at, but it's like not your like specialty. And you've been like, I can do this, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like, I know this person that will like fucking kill it at this.
Right. Like at the end of the day, I want you to have your best hair or the best art possible. Like I had a girl like come into our little studio space, because it's the studio I'm in. There's a bunch of other salons around. Like it's one of those salon loft kind of places. So there's a bunch of other. She was asking if someone could do like a barber cut like on her sides, and I was like, here's 2 barbershops in town that would absolutely knock it out of the park. Like I can do it for you if you want, but it's not going to be barbershop quality, because that is a whole other art form that is like, it blows my mind. Yeah.
I mean, well, there's a reason that like I've seen a few like hybrid like barbershop salons, but the best haircuts I've seen come out of barbershops and the best haircuts I've seen come out of salons were from like a specialty, like appointment only type of like, where it's very like, to me from the outside looking in, it seems very similar even to like tattooing, where it's like, no, you want to go to this person, they're going to fucking kill it. They're appointment only.
Yep.
And a lot of people like tattoo artists have just started charging like deposit fees, because that's another thing that people don't understand / respect, or it's like, you as a hairstylist, if I tell you like, hey, I want to come get my haircut on Wednesday at like 2 p.m. and you're like, sure, you've already in your mind, you've budgeted, you've blocked out that time. And you're also expecting to make money on that time. So if someone's just like, nah, I can't make it, and like 30 minutes before, you're like, dude, I'm fucked now. Like I could have been making money right now. Like someone else could have been in that chair that would have been here on time. So that's
any hairdresser who's listening to this, write a cancellation policy and enforce it. Okay. Enforce it. Yeah. Your time is worth money. You should,
And would you
protect yourself?
Right. And would you, even just starting off like small fish in the sea, just do that from the jump, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Mine is 24 hours. If you cancel within 24 hours, you get charged for 100% of the time booked. Unless, obviously, like, I'm not a monster.
Yeah, if you're upside down because you flipped your car, like, that's different. I can't get my haircut because I'm on the ICU.
If
you're
you
like 100%, buddy.
Or if you're hungover or you oversleep, it's like
they're now it's someone disrespecting your time.
Yeah.
And again,
obviously, I get it. Like life shit happens that's totally out of your control.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's where that communication piece comes into. Where it's like, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I won't be mad.
Just letting someone know goes such a long way. Like, hey, I can't make it because this, but it's 2 days in advance. And you're like, okay, cool. I can fit someone into that block.
Absolutely.
And still get that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's part of doing business.
But going way back when we started this conversation about like maybe a list of things or like something, that's a really good one too, where it's just like, just know, maybe you're not going to know like your worth fully, like what your hourly rate is when you're first starting out, because you're learning all those things, but you got to fucking protect your time. Like you got to make sure that you're getting either deposit or some kind of cancellation fee, because then people will just keep doing it. And then now you can't keep your lights on or you can't keep that door open.
Firing clients. Don't be afraid to fire a client.
Oh, okay.
Interesting, yeah.
How was that like in that world?
It's uncomfortable the first couple times, but in the end you have to protect your peace and your business. Like I'm not talking about firing people willy-nilly, like,
sure,
I don't like you. You don't get to come anymore. Like, no, it's not like that. It's like people who are not respectful of your time or policies. That's when it's time to let them go out into the world. And, here's a recommendation.
Sure.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's protecting your peace and your business and making your business into what you want it to be.
Yeah. I feel like it's mostly dead, but like the whole like customer is always right. It's like,
yeah, no, they're not.
That's yeah. No, why are you here? I'm the specialist.
Have you ever met a customer?
Yeah.
Oh. It's like, maybe I feel like maybe I want the customer to be happy.
Yes.
But within my business structure, I guess. Like,
well, yeah, that's you built.
I'm here to give you the best result the best way I know how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start throwing wrenches into that, and then you don't get the best result, and that's another thing too.
The person is upset because then I've bent something that I'm trying to uphold.
Sure.
And it's like,
and that person's gonna go
happy, and then they're not happy, and that's it.
Yeah, and like one bad review is worth like probably 10 good reviews. Like, as far as like how it affects your business.
Sure.
Like people don't remember good reviews. They'll remember bad reviews.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, good reviews are just a check in the box.
Yeah.
And bad reviews are like, what is it they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now when the customer is like, no, you do this, you do it this way, and then you do it and it's bad, they're like, oh, I don't like what you did. And it's like, no, you did that.
Yeah.
I was trying to do it my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to think. What?
No, that was me being like,
oh, kicking it over to me.
This is an instance that will be edited out.
It's not.
But, all right. But
I'm not editing anything else out for the rest of this fucking podcast. Let it be known.
I don't know. Is there anything that we haven't asked that you were like, oh, I hope they asked me that?
I've been doing a lot more dirt bike racing this year.
Okay.
I moved up a race class this last weekend.
Shit.
Okay.
Look the fuck out.
Congrats. Let me
yeah, I
love that button.
It's a good one. Oh my God. In the Torques, that series that I was talking about with you, I moved up to women's A.
Okay.
And it's cool. It's really cool.
So
it's cool to line up with that many fast women.
Yeah.
There are like 10 of us last Saturday.
Okay. And is it one place specifically or is it all around? Where?
Torques is mostly Central Texas.
Okay.
So like this last weekend we were in Smithville.
Okay.
So not like 40 minutes away.
Sure.
They're usually within about 2 hours, and we end up usually driving in Friday night and camping Saturday, Sunday. We just started racing. I say we, me and Ryan, just started both racing both days. So a race on Saturday and on Sunday.
Tight. And with that toy hauler, it's probably way more comfortable now.
It's great. We have a bathroom and running water.
Dude.
See ya.
Yeah.
It's great.
Stand-up bathroom and running water camping is like, that's when it's like.
Being able to take a quick shower after a race too is like.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Game changer.
We go camping a lot and we don't have a stand-up bathroom. But I can't even like imagine just literally racing in the dirt all day and then getting in a tent. Like, I mean, it's possible and people do it.
Oh yeah.
But that
I have
next
major
day,
respect for those people, but because I am ruined now.
I always say, let's just like the
like,
best.
Where's my mattress?
The first shower after camping, the first shower after being in the beach, or after traveling on an airplane is like, they just hit different.
Yeah.
So being able to do that while you're racing is like, that's awesome. So how many races are you doing a month now?
It's usually about one a month.
Okay.
We've done mostly Torques. We did do 2 of the TSEC, which I now of course can't remember the acronym for.
It sounds like
but those are
to interrupt.
That's okay.
With your bikes and all these circuits, it's just like letters. It's like an acronym or something. It's like, this is my Husky TI, but then you're like doing the T series, and it's just like
I get very confused.
Yeah. I would
what
just
bike do I have? No.
What circuit am I racing on what bike this day? It's just an amalgamation of letters.
It's It's a lot, and I feel like it can be very intimidating if you're trying to get into the sport, but I promise it will start making sense.
Yeah.
The more you're around it.
Sure.
Woman to woman, I guess, if you're a lady who's looking to get into racing.
Dude, I mean,
it sounds very confusing and complicated at first, but I promise it makes sense and you can do it.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
And we do have more. I mean, once we started posting memes about the ladies, we went from like 90 something percent male demographic to what we got like 12 female.
People
12%.
or percent?
Percent. It's probably, well, I don't know if you know, it's only 100 people listen to this. So it's percent and people.
No.
My band's a 50-50 split demographics wise.
Really?
Ladies and gents. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty proud of that.
Yeah. We're working on
What
it.
can I say?
We're working. And you are now officially the first lady of Kickflips and Kickstands podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We've got to get some more on. But it's also like in this whole, have you ever like being into motorcycles, have you ever faced anything that like you feel like it was because you're maybe a woman? As far as like
Yeah.
Like douches and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like it hasn't been as bad as some of the stories that I've heard. Like
Sure.
I feel like I haven't had it crazy, but there's a lot of like, oh, was that your husband's old bike?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
did your husband buy that for you?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we try and champion equality on this podcast, and people probably don't notice, but like I'll make fun of everyone, but I'm not making fun of like certain demographics or certain things in a certain way because it's just not how we
I
feel.
don't want to perpetuate the bullshit that people say sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of backward. Spoiler alert: there's a lot of backwards thinking in the motorcycle scene.
yeah.
And some people try and make it political, or people were like, "Oh, you're getting into politics." Like these are just
It's just
human rights.
Yeah, it's just not being a dick.
You have made it political, or you've allowed people that made it political to like turn you that way.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, dude, everyone from anywhere deserves an equal slice of the pie if they can get it.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Sure.
And if it's not harming anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I know that's out there. And I know that I have posted memes about like the shag haircut turquoise girlies, but it's because they're there. And that's what I'm saying. Like we're all there and we're all here to have fun. So just be a little nicer to each other.
Yeah.
I met this, funny enough, in Daytona at Bike Week. Met this graybeard that lent me some tools because I needed to make some drop plates for some passenger pegs. And after he handed me a joint, and he was just like, if everyone just rolled one extra joint to give to their neighbor, the world would be a way better place. And I was like, fuck, this dude knows. Like, he's got it figured out.
I love that.
He's probably going to drive drunk tonight, but
You know what?
he's still around, still kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the motorcycle scene can be, I feel like in the last few years, even before I started riding, it started being like I started seeing a lot more women
Yeah.
riding, and I like me seeing women riding made me want to ride. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a lady who wants to get into dirt bikes, like remember everybody sucks at first. Like you got to practice. Practice makes progress. It's going to be fucking hard, but you can do it. Like I was riding a mound in a yard.
Yeah.
And now I get to race.
Yeah.
Like
That's fucking
You
rad.
can do it too.
And you just up the class. So
which is like Ryan took some videos and I watched them back the other day and I was like, that's not me. Like that's fucking crazy that
the progress.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's wild. Not to. I don't mean to toot my own.
No, toot it.
horn.
I mean, I'll do it.
But it's crazy how much just like deciding you want to do something if you just practice where you can be.
Yeah.
Like
Even just something as small as reviewing footage. Like
it's
that.
so helpful.
Yeah. And it also
my
shows
God.
that like you're fucking about what you want to do. Like there's a lot of people that won't do that and you don't learn from your mistakes or like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, it's a very hard-headed way of going about things where it's just like, I'll just do it and then completely forget about it. And it's like, no, you should study yourself. It's pretty important. But that's rad that you saw it and you're just like, that's not me. Like,
yeah.
that's someone else racing. It's like, no, it's you. Like,
Who
you're
the
doing
fuck
it.
did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's wild.
You did.
So yeah.
Starting on that little, well, I mean, the pit bikes probably are more dangerous. I've always gotten more hurt on pit bikes than anything else.
It's always the dumb shit. It's always doing the fun, dumb shit that you get hurt. It's never like the serious ass. Well, I don't want to say never, but
you just, you know, when I'm assuming when you're lining up for a race, you know all the risks involved. Mm-hmm. But when you get on the pit bike around the campfire later on that day, you're just like, I'm just going to ride it around and do whatever. Yeah. And that's when you like smack the side of a truck. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's rad.
Yeah. Ladies in your late 20s, you want to get into dirt biking? You can do it.
Do it.
It's not too late.
No.
It's not too late to start.
Fucking do it.
Yeah. I've always been afraid of that too. I'm like, who the fuck am I? 30 plus years old, lining up to, I started in the women's B class, and it was a lot of very fast 15-year-olds that have been riding their whole life.
If you want to get into like skateboarding's been like, it's like 15-year-olds are gonna always make in a sport. A 15-year-old's always gonna make you feel worse than what you should.
But don't let it get to you. No, because we deserve to be there too.
Also, that 15-year-old has nothing going on in their life. They're a 15-year-old. Like
they got no career. They're on their parents' health insurance. They're fine.
That's all they want to do at that moment.
They're just full sending it.
Yeah.
In skateboarding, they're about to retire.
That's the end of their career.
Dude, I saw something that like the average pro skateboarding career is like 4.5 years.
It sounds right.
Damn.
Yeah. It's a very unforgiving job.
I believe it.
It's a good time, not a long time.
I wanted to be a skateboarder. I can go in a straight line.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's where I'm at now.
Oh,
that was years ago, so maybe not even now.
We tried to kick around not too long ago. We tried to kick around a parking lot on like a little slappy curb, and like 10 minutes into it, my left knee, which is the one that like I got when I got in my motorcycle accident, that's the side that got hit. Mm-hmm. My left knee just started like pulsing with a little bit of pain, and I was just like, oh yeah. We got to go to the doctor before we do any of this again.
No.
Yeah. But it was also kind of nice because like it's that imposter syndrome, or it's like people are like, oh, poser. It's just like, why am I skateboarding right now? Yeah. But it's because I enjoy it and I genuinely love it. Like I grew up doing it. So I tried to dip my toes back in it. But the 35-year-old in me that's lived a hard life was just like, no, you got to fucking take care of some other shit first, baby.
Yeah. No, I remember it being easier than it is.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it was. I was like, man, I used to be able to jump higher.
Yeah. And that's because of like ollie. It's just you jumping.
Yes.
So like when you get older and you're like, I can't ollie as high as I can. It's like, no, you can't jump as high as you used to.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Because things hurt or they don't recover as quick as they did.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
After a race weekend, like now that my races are like Saturday and Sunday, I now race 70 minutes. Mm-hmm. So doing that both days, it takes me like 3 days to recover.
I would imagine.
I'm like, I gotta make some like I know some people that go right back to the gym, and I'm like, I gotta figure out.
That's insane. How would you go? I don't know. I need to figure out how to go to the gym. Period. But
yeah, I can't do the gym. I got to do something else that's fun and active. But I can't just sit there and like do. Like exercise equipment.
Did you start racing dirt bikes?
It sounds like it's
I mean,
full body workout.
I did start going to the gym so that I could deadlift my bike off myself.
Right.
Yeah.
When in the woods.
Well,
when I'm crashing into trees, I got to be able to pick it up.
But see, that's again like reviewing your footage. That's when you're like, if I cross train, I'll be better at the thing that I enjoy.
Yep.
Maybe I'm doing something that I maybe don't enjoy as much, but I'm doing it so that I'm better at the other thing.
Yeah. I would just practice my yelling for help. That's
waiting for the sweeper to come by.
I'm
over here. I'm over here.
You would be really good at explaining your surroundings. You know what I mean? We'd be like, how's Grayson at racing? He's like, he's not the best racer, but when he goes down, you'll know exactly where he is.
I'm near a sophisticated looking tree.
Oh my God.
They're like, what?
They get up, they're like, you know what, motherfucker, this is the most sophisticated looking tree out here. Well, Sarah, it's been a blast. We could keep going if you want. But we have had a great time having you out here. I wanted to thank you again for coming out. Just
Thanks
a little out of your
me.
way, not that far out of your way.
No.
And you've also set a precedent. So now every guest has to come out here. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We'll come to you if we have to.
Sure.
No, I enjoyed having you back out here and getting our little take two in the can. Do you have anything that you want to, let's roll out the red carpet for you. Like, what's your salon name?
Oh,
Tell us where people can find you on the internet.
Yeah.
To book appointments.
My salon is called After While. My hair Instagram is Sara Cottrell hairstylist. And I have a link to book through there, but you can send me a DM if you have any questions. My art page is Mild Card Co. And then my personal page with a lot of my racing stuff on it is Chum Eater, like a shark eats chum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we'll put, I mean, when the episode goes live, we'll put all the links in social for people too, so they can find you a little easier too.
Yeah.
Grayson, you got anything coming up that the people need to know about?
Nope. Nothing. Yeah, my band's coming out with this single this week, but that's irrelevant. By the time this airs, it won't matter.
We can edit that.
Sure.
We can edit. That's the one edit we'll put in this episode.
Grayson, you got anything? Well, anyway, thanks for listening.
No. I'm saying I'll go in and I'll just put an audio clip of me saying the correct date for just the single.
Yes, perfect.
Everything else will stay in.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
I mean, where we are. We're at Kickflips and Kickstands Podcast on Instagram. Mm-hmm. This season will be airing now by the time you hear this. So share this episode with a bud. Share all the episodes with a bud. Go listen to our previous episodes. Keep an eye out for whatever else we got going on content-wise. And we will see you on the next one.
Yeah.